Hello, I'm Polly Coote. I've been teaching New Testament Greek for over 30 years in seminary, but I had never been to the Holy Land. I chose to go with a Keep Hope Alive olive picking trip for my first visit, and this is my reflection on that experience. This is a reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, the parable of the Good Samaritan. Jesus is in conversation with a man of the law, and the man of the law, wishing to make himself right in his response to Jesus, says, "And who is my neighbor?" And Jesus responded, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho." Hang on a minute there, Jesus. It's not that easy. It's a short trip, and certainly downhill from maybe 2,500 feet above sea level to perhaps 1,300 feet below in 15 miles or so as the crow flies. But you'd need a good driver. You don't think he'd be walking, do you? The actual road you're thinking of, the old road, would be a dizzy zigzag descent through some spectacular scenery in the desert if you dare to look over the edge of the road. Anyway, you can't even get out of Jerusalem on that road nowadays. There's a huge barrier wall built right across it through El Azariah, that's Bethany to you, contiguous with Jerusalem now, but you have to go 20 miles around to get from one to the other. Your traveler could take the extension of Highway 1, the Tel Aviv-Jerusalem route in Israel, out of Jerusalem toward the east. That's the road that links the new settlements in the West Bank to the east of the city. He could go Highway 1 nearly all the way, though it's not direct to Jericho. Or he could rejoin the old Jericho Road after the last settlement. At least Highway 1 isn't like those access roads connecting the settlements on the west side to Jerusalem, the ones with the multiple walls and fences and barbed wire on either side. Talk about make straight in the desert a highway for the sovereign. Those roads swallow up the arable land and divide the farmers from their olive groves and farm plots. In fact, cars with Palestinian license plates can't even go on those roads. Have you seen those settlements crowning the hilltops, like Ma'ale Adumim on Highway 1? So beautiful, clean and fresh, everything you could want. New apartments, unlimited water piped in. They don't need those cisterns you see on Palestinian rooftops to store water against the times when the authorities turn it off. And there's parking and shops and jobs and security cameras and watchtowers. It's all there inside the walls with a military installation close by, and there's a lovely view out over the wall toward Jerusalem. When you look out like that from the hilltop, you probably don't even notice the shacks over there, the Bedouin encampment, even if it has popped back up again after being demolished for the 5th time maybe by the Israeli authorities. Close up, it looks like a pile of scrap metal, abandoned appliances and junked cars, though you might see a shepherd with a donkey and a dog and a flute taking their flocks out to graze the stony ground. So picturesque. The green bit down there at the bottom of the slope is where the toxic sewage drain-off from the settlement is watering plant life. Not all the settlers are in nice, clean enclaves like French Hill and Ma'ale Adumim. There are plenty of them living side by side, or more like on top of the old-time residents in East Jerusalem. It's a funny kind of interfaith community they have there. Do you think all those private security guards and surveillance cameras, let alone the soldiers on every street corner, somehow make them feel at home? At least there's not much danger of your man falling among thieves on that road. maybe a tourist trap or two, Bedouins peddling juice and shawls handmade by their mothers in India, according to the label, or photo ops with a camel. Security must be pretty tight, what with most of the route being through settlement lands under de facto Israeli control, or so-called Area C Palestinian territory under Israeli military and administrative control. Wait, didn't the Oslo Accords that set up that Area A, B, and C system provide that the West Bank and Gaza would transition to Palestinian autonomy after 5 years? That would have been in 1999. Yes, well, that didn't quite work out, did it? So just who is this man, and how is he going to get from Jerusalem to Jericho? It's a classic case of you can't get there from here, unless, of course, you're a foreign tourist with a U.S. passport or a certified tour guide. If he is a U.S. citizen, he'll enjoy seeing his tax dollars at work building the highway, arming the kids at the checkpoints and all that. At any rate, he's not a Samaritan. They don't travel much out of their two little communities in Israel. And he's not Israeli military, not if he's traveling alone without a convoy. Look here, if this man is an Israeli citizen living in Israel, he's not allowed to go into Jericho. It's in Area A, under Palestinian control, like Bethlehem and the other Palestinian cities. Even with a yellow Israeli license plate that lets you on the access roads and through the checkpoints into Jerusalem, he can't go past the big red sign warning Israeli citizens to stay out of Area A. Military accepted, of course. But if he has a Palestinian ID and a green Palestinian license plate, he can't get into Jerusalem to begin with. So he might have started out from Bethlehem, say just outside the barrier wall around Jerusalem, and be heading for Jericho, or maybe for Jordan, right across the Jordan River east of Jericho. Before 1967, of course, he'd have been in Jordan from the start, and he'll be entering Jordanian Wi-Fi service long before he gets to the border. Maybe he's a Palestinian with a foreign passport who's come home to the West Bank on a tourist visa that he has to renew every 3 months by re-entering from outside Israel. It only takes a morning to pop across the border outside Jericho, have a cup of coffee in Jordan, pay the exit and entry fees on both sides, and come back with a new visa. Takes a chunk out of your workday, though, and it doesn't always work. Or an Arab-Israeli citizen taking his wife to Jordan. Say she has a Palestinian ID and no Israeli passport, so she has to fly from Amman to join the rest of the family on vacation in Turkey. The Israeli citizens in the family, of course, could fly straight from Tel Aviv. Sorry, Jesus, we got distracted. What were you saying about neighbors?